Welcome. Today on the Hire Me podcast, I have with me Melody Pancheri. Let's jump right in to learn how Melody could be your next great hire and professional connection. Welcome, Melody. Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Thank you, Heather. So I am a former professionally trained acting coach, business owner, and high school educator who is making the transition into the learning and development field as a learning experience designer. So for the last 3 years, I was working in the mortgage industry where I slid into the facilitating role in addition to my regular duties. There, I created job aids and other training and instructional materials for the departments that I worked in. I also facilitated these materials to those departments. And as an educator and acting coach, I created every single lesson and any content that was taught in my classes. I regularly had high school students request specific lessons, and that I would also tailor my content to make learning fun and accessible to all students.
Oh, I love that. I love all of these things all fit so well together. So taking all of this, tell us what type of role you are looking for.
So I know what it takes to create an engaging and effective learning experience. So going back to my creative roots, my past effective facilitating methods, it gives me an edge in creating and designing engaging material behind the scenes. So that's why I've decided to make the jump into a remote e-learning and learning experience designer role outside of the classroom. And so my ideal role would be creating content, collaborating with subject matter experts, and providing quality instructional materials. And in addition, I'm looking for a company that will support a positive work-life balance.
Ooh. Oh, it's so excited. I feel the passion coming out already.
Thank you.
So the next question leads right into that. What is it that you love so much about doing this type of work?
So I love to create interesting courses that cover topics that are like either unusual or that are presented in a unique way. I specialize in creating content for those who have difficulty learning, so like learning disabilities or what have you, or need accessibility through digital content. I have always had the knack to collaborate, communicate, build relationships with anyone, no matter what their level is in the company. I enjoy helping people, whether they are subject matter experts, coworkers, management, or someone who just wants a sounding board while figuring out their next step. I also love to learn. I always continue to learn no matter where I am. Each time I create a new course, I learn about that topic in my research. And then through the people taking the course, I also thrive on constructive feedback, which I use to build my expertise in this field. And I also try to find professional development and continuing education opportunities for myself. For example, I will be attending the ATD 23 conference in San Diego this May. And while I'm not currently in this learning experience designer, instructional designer role right now, I'm always looking to further develop my skills and broaden my understanding of the field. And also in addition, I also have a master's degree. It was in English studies for teachers, but the base of it was teaching adult learning theories and how to write and design curriculum and instruction that can also be used outside of the classroom.
To make sure that you are able to keep this passion and this love of your work going in the right type of environment, what type of leadership and company culture will help you thrive?
And that's a great question. So I want to work with leadership that values transparency in their decisions, inclusion and diversity in the workplace, and how they are making an impact with both the employees and clients, in addition to professional development with the current employees. I also look for leaders who want their people to stretch and grow in their current role while also providing career advancement opportunities. And as mentioned previously, work-life balance is extremely important to me. I give 110% during the workday for the company, but I also want a company and leadership to respect that I have responsibilities and desires outside of work. I love to travel, both around the country and international. And I also want the support to be able to take a mental health day if it's needed.
Amen to that. For sure. I'm on board with that one. So when you go to a company, right, they're going to want you to solve some problems. What are those problems that you can solve?
So that's a great question again. But there are many problems that I can solve. But one of the examples that is still close to my heart goes along with the fact that I strive to help others, no matter what background or accessibility needs that they have. So this example is back when I was teaching in the classroom. So when I was teaching both 11th and 12th grade, I had an 11th grade student or learner who had a variety of learning disabilities. She had no friends and was just completely apathetic towards learning. Even though she was failing all of her classes, I had a feeling that I could connect with her in some way. So I would find time to talk with her one-on-one every single day. And it wasn't about school. It was just trying to find out what her interests were, trying to build those relationships with her, and also just trying to build trust. In the midst of these conversations, I found out that she had always wanted to be in a musical, but every single time she went to go audition for the school's drama club, she never got in. And as it so happens, I was actually directing the next show. So I invited her to audition, and I ultimately cast her in the musical. And during this time, I not only supported her in rehearsals, but I also supported her in the classroom. And then going back into that classroom aspect, I started asking her to complete one task a day in class. Just one thing. Just finish something, not everything. And this was during a time when she would just sit in the back, hands crossed, would do absolutely nothing. And so I slowly got her to start doing work, whether it was writing her name on the paper and handing it in and nothing else completed, or answering one or two questions the next day or the next week. Every single time I would praise her and I would thank her for participating, and so we just built up on this to the point where she was completing that whole lesson or multiple lessons throughout that week. I also spoke with her parents who desperately wanted her to succeed and got them on board with my techniques. This was a long process. She didn't pass her first semester, but by the middle of the spring semester, she was an A student in my class, but still failing all of her other classes. And with that, other teachers came to me to find out how I got through to her, because if she's doing everything in my class, why, can I help them? And so I had those conversations with those teachers as well. As we were getting closer to the end of her 11th grade year, I realized that she would have trouble with the other 12th grade teacher the next year. So I worked with her parents, and the school administration on getting her enrolled in my 12th grade elective courses for her senior year. And during her senior year, she excelled in those classes, connected with her other teachers, was passing their classes, and ended up having friends and completing her senior year it was a complete 180 from where she was when I first met her. And while this example was about teaching, it directly correlates to corporate roles as building trust and relationships, collaboration, and finding the right fit for a course or design can be key in any role, especially with learning experience design. And in this type of setting, a student would be a learner, the school administration and parents would be stakeholders or subject matter experts.
Wow. I really I'm all emotional hearing this story. It's so good. I love it. Okay. Whew, thankfully, we only have one more question, or I might really lose it on this podcast today.
Sorry.
No, these are good things.
Well,
Great things.
Thank you.
So the last question I have, which I feel like you've answered almost in every question, which is good, but what matters to you, right? What are your values?
Honestly, I think it just comes down to one thing: helping others. So that's finding the method that works for everyone, whether it's an individual or for a department, a company, in any number, I guess you would say. It may not be one size fits all, but I pay attention to the individual needs within a department or within a company.
Melody, thank you so much for coming to the Hire Me podcast. This was it was so great to learn about you, about your skills, and what you're going to be able to bring into your next role. All of that passion and value and just your mission to help other people. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you.
So for those of you watching or listening, please be sure that you connect with Melody. Her LinkedIn link is in the description and the show notes. Connect with her. If you know of any company that might need somebody like Melody, send her information over, share her podcast on LinkedIn. We would love for you to do that for not only Melody, but anybody that comes across the podcast. We really appreciate it. And I know they do as well. So make sure that you subscribe, follow, and like our content here on the Hire Me podcast so that we can continue elevating more of today's top talents. Take care, everyone. Bye.